Hey guys, just chilling back at home here at the homestead. You know, in my last video I was all driving around, but literally the next day, Colorado also followed suit with a few other states, and now we're on lockdown too because of this whole COVID thing. Anyway, so what's funny is I actually panicked when I heard the news that Colorado was doing that, and went to the store and bought a bunch of canned food. I didn't go crazy. Okay, I didn't buy more than two of anything. I'm just like, yep, this might be the last time I go to the dang store for like 3 weeks, maybe longer. And so, I got some shit. I was a vegan once, so I know I can survive without fresh meat, stuff like that. I could pretty much grow everything I need to survive if I really, 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 really had to. But anyway, I bought some canned beans and some canned fruits and vegetables and stuff like that, and a few frozen things and just some non-perishables, and then proceeded to pack up my bike shop, bring home all my tools, any bikes I think I might want to work on, all the parts that I'll need, etc., etc., etc. Okay, I kind of freaked out. I threw it all in my truck, drove home, and I thought, all right, that's it. But little did I realize that I'm actually exempt from that whole stay-at-home order because of my occupation. I repair shit. And so I'm able to still go about my day, kind of carry on as I normally do. And that's the funny part, is because to me, now that all of this has been in place for a few days, like a couple days now, and I've been dealing with it, it's really not quite what I had in mind. Like, people are still out there doing their stuff. Like, around here, I'd say like 80 to 90% of the workforce would be considered essential around here. I mean, yeah, there's some businesses, and there's definitely some people around here that are out of work. But I really think Delta County is not out of work right now. And in fact, I think we're probably doing a little bit better than a lot of other communities because of the fact that what we do here serves literally the rest of the country. We are a food exporter. I mean, I know not right now because spring just started, and there's no fresh food being produced in Delta County right now, but annually we are a food exporter. So obviously farmers are busy, ranchers are busy. Everybody else kind of falls into the service industry for the most part. A lot of government workers, like the DMV is closed, and there's some government offices that are closed. Obviously everybody's doing business a little bit differently. People aren't allowing people into their businesses. People are basically only offering like curbside service, which is essentially, nobody's allowed to come into the business. They can just get service outside, and people come to your car. And it's a little bit more inconvenient, but it's better than a full-on shutdown, shelter in place, So I'm glad that the stay-at-home order is actually more like a stay-at-home unless you got shit to do order, which most people around here have really important shit to do for the most part. And myself included, I'm less important than, say, like medical workers, utility workers, but I fix stuff. Okay, so right now I fix bikes, and bikes were specifically exempt in the order as a repair, but bike shops have had to basically change the way they do business. And now basically I have to, well, nothing really changes for me, but other bike shops, let's say I was like already open and had my sales floor set up and everything was like already going, I'd have to shut all that down and just do repairs. That's all bike shops are allowed to do right now, is just repair bikes. And they have to meet the clients outside of the shop or pick up or deliver the bikes, what have you. So, but for the most part, it doesn't feel that different around here, even though they have all these crazy restrictions on businesses. To me, it seems like just business as usual. But then I got to thinking, like, that's because I've kind of prepared for this. I've actually, like, since 2018, when I left my old corporate job, I made that decision because I wanted to become more independent. I was thinking to myself, well, this is probably the last job I'm ever going to have. And so I just, you know, they even said I could file for unemployment. I never did. Never filed for unemployment. I just started putting a plan together. I didn't know what I was going to do. I just knew that I had to do it on my own. I didn't know why, but that's just what I was compelled to do. And so I started these businesses. I just started freelancing. I didn't know really where it was going to lead. I just started doing different things until I found a niche. And I figured I would find a niche eventually. You know, if I just kept doing different things, it would work out. And here I am 2 years later, having just filed all of the legal red tape and nonsense for this shutdown. Like, I was supposed to open, I am supposed to open my business. I was going to have a grand opening on April 4th. That's not going to happen now. There's no point in having a grand opening if people can't come to your shop and hang out and check it out. So I have to wait until all of this stuff is done and over with, and the stay-at-home order has been lifted, and there's no more worries about all of these infections and people getting sick and all these crazy precautions. Now, you know, I'm hoping that it's just going to be a few weeks, and then I'll be able to open my shop publicly in April sometime before May. That's kind of critical because, you know, it's going to be kind of hard to pay rent here come a couple months if I can't actually open, you know. Other than that, things are going pretty good. I'm staying busy at the shop. I'm staying busy doing other things. Nothing's really slowed down for me. I still have to get up and go to work every day. You know, I have lots of stuff to do. And fortunately for me, I do not work around any people. I basically do not have to interact with anybody directly. This is my big George. He's a Chinese Dragon Lee. Man. Cat, I just remembered that I gotta get up. See, that's how I know I'm good. I just coughed, but I just coughed up a bunch of phlegm. If you have the COVID-19, supposedly, you'll cough, and it'll be a gnarly cough, but you won't have any, you won't produce any phlegm from it. It'll just be a dry cough. But it'll be a gnarly cough. Now, I haven't personally seen anybody or witnessed anybody with this disease, with this virus, and having that kind of lung, that pneumonia or whatever that goes on with that. But it sounds to me like a bong hit. You know, like if you take a really, really, really big bong hit and you just, it just makes you choke. Like you cough like crazy, but you're not producing any phlegm. But you can't stop coughing, and because you can't stop coughing, you feel like you can't really breathe either. So you like shortness of breath. To me, that just reminds me of a bong hit. Like somebody that takes way too big of a bong hit is gonna feel like that. But that being said, I'm curious to know if anybody has gotten sick with this virus and used cannabis to help your lungs. Because it sounds like cannabis would help your lungs in this condition. Like whatever's going on in there, I mean, I don't know. None of it's really happening around here. Yet. Anyway. Things are slow around here, Whatever happens in the cities can take weeks, months, or years to happen here. So, nobody around here is really tripping yet. We're kind of watching you guys in the city kind of freaking out, and it definitely puts us on edge. But then we walk around town and like still it's just the same old shit here and nothing's really changing. But anyway, I'm rambling on. So here's a couple things I do to stay healthy. Amidst all of this pandemic crap and whatever, you basically just want to keep your immune system on high alert and keep it in shape. So by doing that is part of like what I eat. So this is what I make for breakfast every morning. I start off with some onions and some spinach, and I fry that in olive oil. And then cut up some garlic, a fresh clove of garlic here that's just chilling out here. It's at room temperature. I don't refrigerate it because I go through it fast enough that I don't need to. And it also, it's better for you if it's room temperature, like all of the oils and flavonoids and beneficial compounds in the garlic are released much better at slightly higher temperatures than refrigerated. So for that reason, I also don't overcook it either. It's one of the last things I add to my breakfast scramble here. I'm kind of doing like a low carb thing. I don't eat much bread or refined carbs. Like I haven't eaten bread in a long time. And I even quit buying tortillas. I used to make a nice breakfast burrito, but I can't find a like a keto type deal. Yeah, I can't find a keto friendly wrap that's like not made from wheat or grains. I'm just chopping up this garlic here while everything else is cooking. Once the onions start to brown a little bit in the pan and the spinach is kind of shriveled up from being fried, I go ahead and add some peppers at that point. Fresh ones are the best, unless they're jalapenos, then you want to can them first, unless you really like spicy stuff. But I just use some green chilies. You can get these, pretty much anywhere, or it's better if you grow your own and can them. But they're really easy to grow here in Colorado. A lot of people make green chilies, and all it is, you just grab one right here, slice it up, and toss it into the pan. Sometimes I'll fry a potato if I feel like I do need to have some carbs, but not today. Just going for the vegetables and the eggs and the cheese. So it's a vegetarian burrito. If I'm really jonesing for some kind of meat, I can always add meat, or sometimes I like to add that Beyond Meat sausage, which is pretty good, and it's made out of non-GMO ingredients. That's why I like that one. It's a little bit better. The Impossible meat I wasn't impressed with, but Beyond Meat is better. There's no wheat, no soy. It's all made from pea protein, and it's all non-GMO. And I think that's important as we move on. I've been eating non-GMO foods for about 2 years, and I think it makes a difference in your health. Simply what you eat. Like, around here when people were doing all their panic shopping, I saw people loading up on the most ridiculous things, like 2 months supply of soda. Really? There was actually, I remember, I can't quote this for example, but I heard of an experiment once where they did a test to see if you could live on pure sugar. And it turns out you'll die. If all you have to eat is refined sugar and nothing else, it can't sustain you. You will die. It's literally poison for your body. So that's something I have pretty much given up, is I don't eat any refined sugar, except very small amounts that are usually hidden in ingredients. Like when I buy mixed nuts, obviously there's a little bit of refined sugar in that, but it's not that much compared to, say, a candy bar or a soda. I always like my cheese. I didn't do the vegan thing too well because, one of the things I missed was cheese and eggs. So I don't mind doing vegetarian diet, that's easy, but going straight vegan 7 days a week, 365 days a year is definitely a challenge for me to meet my nutritional requirements. But I find that I do best when I limit refined carbs. If I need carbs, if I'm jonesing for carbs, potatoes, corn, stuff that's not refined, no wheat. And that's how I stay healthy. Now what works for me may not work for others because I've been doing this for years. My body's used to it. It's not used to eating garbage anymore. Like I can't go out to fast food. If I eat go out to McDonald's or something like that and I eat like a big old meal from I'm gonna probably get sick. I'll probably feel it like I have food poisoning or something like that, because my body's so used to eating stuff like non-GMO eggs and organic this and fresh that, and just basically meat and vegetables and naturally occurring carbohydrates. That's pretty much it. And it's a high-fat diet, high-protein diet, low-carb. And I also eat only about once or twice a day, typically. I'm eating early today, which is unusual. Usually I don't eat until about noon or 1 o'clock. But this is the same thing I have every single day, right here. It's the same thing. I make this every day. Do I get tired of it? No, I actually look forward to it. My one main meal a day, and I might have dinner tonight because I'm eating earlier. But a lot of times, like if I eat a late breakfast, or if I don't get this breakfast burrito in until like 1 or 2, I'll probably just skip dinner altogether and just maybe have some nuts or something as a snack or a light meal later that day. But staying healthy, step 1 is just eating right and making sure that you're eating good foods. Because if you're eating poison, then you're not giving your body a chance to build an immune system to anything, really. On top of this, add some leftovers here from last night. We've got some refried beans mixed with some salsa and guacamole. So I'm going to heat that up really quick. So I have some huevos rancheros. So what other healthy stuff do I put in my breakfast burrito? So we got the garlic, we've got spinach in there, we've got onions in there, we've got peppers. Another thing that I put in is good salt, not regular crappy table salt. You need to get a real salt. Doesn't have to be this real salt, but it can be Himalayan salt, it can be Celtic sea salt, but it should be naturally sourced, not refined. And I'll just go ahead and add a bunch of this to my breakfast burrito. And I'm pretty generous with it too. And the reason you want to have a salt like this, or Himalayan salt, or Celtic sea salt, is because they contain all of the trace minerals that you're not getting through your normal foods. Normally you're not getting all the trace elements. Like there's like 83 some elements that are naturally occurring on Earth that aren't present in modern fertilizers and aren't present in modern
farming soils with our normal monoculture style of farming. And because of this, most people are deficient. And even though these amounts are just trace amounts, and I guess there's some evidence to suggest that it's insignificant, that these amounts don't matter, and that's why they only worry about, like, you know, nitrogen, phosphate, and what's the other one? I can't even think of it right now, but you know what I mean? There's like the three elements, and there's more like 80 some elements that you need to have in your soil to produce super healthy plants that actually give you that. So since we don't really have any of that, you got to have it through your salt. That's how you get your minerals. And unless you're growing the food yourself and you know exactly what's in your soil, well, you're just basically probably eating devoid plants. Even if you buy organic plants, they're not required by any stipulations or laws in the USDA to use more than those 3 compounds for fertilizer. Some of them do, some of them don't. How do you know? They might advertise it, but it's definitely something to look for. And finally, add a little avocado. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Top it off with a little black pepper. I've already thrown my salt on there. And that's my frickin' one meal of the day, basically. And this will carry me through most of the day, if not the whole day.
One other thing. You guys have probably noticed that I don't really live the most sanitary lifestyle. I mean, take a look at my frickin' house. I haven't swept my floor. Well, okay. Disclaimer. It's really hard to keep up with my floor. These dogs track in so much frickin' dirt that if I really wanted to keep my floor clean, I'd have to sweep twice a day. Not kidding. Realistically, I sweep about every 3 days. So right now it's looking pretty dirty, pretty dusty. It does not take long to get dirty. So, that being said, you know, you probably saw the grease spots on my stove and the dust that's accumulated there and food that's spilled around there and that hasn't been cleaned up and this and that. You know, there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. See, if you live a completely sterile lifestyle, you don't give your immune system any practice. My man, George Carlin, said it best. So I might just let him say it.
Is a completely neurotic population obsessed with security and safety and crime and drugs and cleanliness and hygiene and germs. There's another thing. Germs. Where did this sudden fear of germs come from in this country? Have you noticed this? The media constantly running stories about all the latest infections, salmonella, E. coli, hantavirus, bird flu, and Americans they panic easily, so now everybody's running around scrubbing this and spraying that and overcooking their food and repeatedly washing their hands, trying to avoid all contact with germs. It's ridiculous, and it goes to ridiculous lengths. What do you think you have an immune system for? It's for killing germs. But it needs practice. It needs germs to practice on. So listen. If you kill all the germs around you and live a completely sterile life, then when germs do come along, you're not going to be prepared. And never mind ordinary germs, what are you going to do when some super virus comes along that turns your vital organs into liquid shit? I'll tell you what you're going to do. You're going to get sick, you're going to die, and you're going to deserve it because you're fucking weak and you got a fucking weak immune system.
So there you have it. And that's why I don't really trip on all this sanitation. I use it when I recognize that it's necessary, like when I'm mindful that it's necessary. It is not always, 100% of the time, necessary to be completely sterile and sanitized. Okay? Yes, if you're going to be at risk for COVID-19, yeah, sterilization is probably pretty freaking important. But if it's a pretty low risk, then you're probably better off exposing yourself to whatever bacteria and microbes are present to give your immune system practice, because if it's completely sterile, it's just going to go docile and it's not going to work for you when you do come into contact with the crap. So again, I ain't no doctor, but this works for me and it could work for you too. So take care of yourself and have a good night. Peace.